This is the story of a boy who stood against a tide of monsters. A voice calls out, asking if Shen Qingshun is ready to serve his country. He finds himself at a military recruitment center, a place he knows all too well. The scene is familiar, triggering a wave of disbelief and shock. He questions the timing. Monsters are already at the front lines. The world blurs around him, the faces of the crowd meaningless. And then it hits him. He's been reborn, sent back from the battlefield. The fear in his eyes is replaced by a cold, burning resolve. He remembers giving away a cool-looking gun, which is generally a bad idea. A memory of the brutal end that awaited those on the front lines. He remembers the chaos of the front lines, fighting alongside his comrades. A desperate plan was their only option left. He had volunteered for the suicide mission, ready to give his life. But a colossal beast stood between them and any hope of survival. In the chaos, his friend had thrown him to safety, taking his place. His comrade gave the classic "You're the chosen one" speech. Shen Qingshun could only watch, helpless and horrified. The soldier charged forward, a final, desperate act of defiance. He became the weapon, a human missile aimed at the heart of the beast. And in a flash of light, his friend was gone. The memory of being thrown back, the battlefield a blur below. He remembers their commander, standing before the last remnants of humanity, a man whose eyes held the weight of a world on the brink of collapse. They faced a tide of monsters that had already swallowed the earth. The enemy's voice echoed, calling them an inferior race unworthy of life. But their leader refused to surrender, his defiance a final rallying cry. He swore that even in darkness their last stand would be heard. And from the horde, a great beast emerged to answer their defiance. Because when all else fails, the answer is apparently 100,000 nukes. With a single press of a button, he unleashed humanity's final terrible weapon. The world is engulfed in a sea of fire and fury, a final blinding flash as the planet itself is erased from existence. But for Shen Qingshun, death is not the end, but a violent rebirth. His eyes open, now glowing with an otherworldly digital light. A system message appears offering him a choice of destinies. He clenches his fist, the weight of this second chance settling in. The visions of the future fade and he's back in the present moment. The recruiter's voice cuts through, impatient with his silence. Shen Qingshun stands frozen, the question hanging heavy in the air. But this time, with a confident smirk, he gives a different answer. The recruiters can only stare, completely baffled by his words. He stands before the recruiter, his newfound resolve creating a palpable tension. The man is at a loss for words, his composure completely shattered. He angrily reads off Shen Qingshun's stellar record, demanding to know why he'd refuse. But Shen Qingshun cuts him off, slamming his hand down on the registration form. The recruiter calls him out, accusing him of deserting his duty. But Shen Qingshun's gaze is ice cold, completely unfazed by the accusations. Without another word, he turns his back on them and walks away. The crowd begins to murmur because public opinion is always so well informed. And among the onlookers, a new face emerges, watching our boy with a smug grin. The smug observer mocks him, calling him a fool who only pretends to be decent. A girl in the crowd breathes a sigh of relief, glad she never confessed her feelings. But their judgment means nothing to him. His focus is on a much larger war. He turns his back on the light, choosing a darker, more solitary path. Yet, a few voices in the crowd defend him because mob mentality is famously fickle. Unbothered by the noise, Shen Qingshun continues on his way, leaving them all behind. He stops and turns, a confident smile playing on his lips as he faces them one last time. The recruiters watch in confusion, wondering if he suddenly had a change of heart. His rival scoffs, convinced this is just a pathetic attempt to win back public favor. But Shen Qingshun's gaze holds no regret, only the cold certainty of his new mission. He turns to face the crowd, not with regret, but with a declaration. But his words are meant for a single mysterious figure watching from afar, a man with sharp green eyes and a purpose tied directly to our hero. Shen Qingshun's grin is a silent promise, an inside joke between two souls. This newcomer stands apart, radiating an aura of power and destiny. He speaks of investing his power into this new age of powerful races, and of his personal mission to end the era of chaos before it begins. He makes a solemn vow that this time, there will be no more victims. The crowd, as usual, is just a collection of confused, gaping faces. But his rival can only see weakness, screaming insults about desertion. The rival proudly proclaims his own willingness to fight for the great state. He declares that in a time of waiting, this is the best chance to prove one's worth. The recruiter explodes with rage, pointing an accusing finger at Shen Qingshun's back. A patriotic banner hangs overhead, a stark reminder of the duty he just abandoned. But Shen Qingshun is already gone, walking a lonely road under the afternoon sun. Elsewhere, the mysterious green-eyed man makes his move, activating his own system. He chooses his destiny, the path of the divine 100 Slayer. Power surges through him, his body enveloped in glowing ancient runes. He knows that not everyone will be able to wait for a torch in the coming darkness. And in that moment, he vows to become the one and only light himself. The scene shifts to the sprawling campus of the Imperial University. Here, life goes on, blissfully unaware of the coming storm. Students laugh and play, lost in the simple joys of their youth. Meanwhile, back at the recruitment center, the officers prepare to end their shift. But their day isn't over yet, as a new figure approaches against the sunset. A woman with an intense aura and the scars of battle on her hands. The crowd erupts, recognizing the legendary war hero, Mentor Lin Qiu. Her gaze is sharp, a warrior who has seen the horrors of the front lines. And just like that, the girl who scorned our hero has a brand new crush. The recruiters salute their superior, Commander Lin Qiu, ready to hand over their duties. Commander Lin Qiu acknowledges the situation with a single sharp word. She reviews the list of new recruits, her gaze sharp and analytical. The list reveals a roster of candidates with Shen Qingshun's name right at the top. But next to his name, a single red X marks his refusal to join. Her eyes narrow in disbelief. Someone actually refused to fight in the coming war. She looks up, the name on her lips a question. Shen Qingshun? The recruiter confirms her suspicion, explaining that the young man refused to enlist. They recount their failed attempts, calling his refusal a shameless act of cowardice. The rival seizes the opportunity, twisting Shen Qingshun's words to paint him as a coward. Others quickly join the chorus, accusing him of arrogance and disrespecting war heroes. Commander Lin Qiu listens, her expression unreadable against the setting sun. Her face hardens as she gives a chilling order, make an example of the deserter. The recruiters can only stare, stunned by the severity of her command. The rival, however, is thrilled, demanding every detail to stoke the flames of public outrage. Another voice joins in, eager to condemn the able-bodied man who refused to fight. The insults fly, painting the nation's top student as a coward hiding in the rear. But Commander Lin Qiu's gaze remains fixed, her judgment already passed. Her subordinates snap to attention because you don't argue with a living legend. As the news spreads, the sky opens up, washing over the empty campus grounds. And somewhere in the downpour, Shen Qingshun walks alone, a pariah in his own city. He's not just refusing the army, he's leaving his old life behind entirely. The whispers follow him, a storm of judgment in the pouring rain. His rival spreads the news. Shen Qingshun is the only student who refused the call. He can't believe the academy's star pupil has become a so-called deserter. But our boy walks on, undeterred, as a strange light cuts through the downpour. The light seems to be targeting him, a beacon in the lonely night. An old man appears, shaming him for his youth and supposed cowardice. But Shen Qingshun's gaze is unwavering, his eyes holding a chilling resolve. The old man reveals a small device, a hidden threat in his hand, and in response, the strange energy around Shen Qingshun begins to surge. The old man banishes him from the building, telling him never to return. He declares that even his own school should be ashamed of such a student. A car pulls up, its door opening like an invitation out of the storm. Shen Qingshun gets in, his destination set, the rear of the battlefield. The driver, a stranger, glances at his credentials before pulling away. He questions why a healthy young man would head toward a place of refuge. With cold green eyes, Shen Qingshun simply tells him he's not on leave. The car cuts through the rain, carrying the city's most wanted deserter. He reveals his true purpose, to deliver vital information to the rear guard. The driver can only stare, his assumptions about the boy completely shattered. The news hits the airwaves, painting him as a coward who fled from reality. The driver's face twists in disgust, his judgment clear. He slams his foot on the brake, bringing the car to a violent stop. The vehicle skids to a halt on the rain-slicked road. He explodes with rage, screaming at Shen Qingshun to get out of his car. His command echoes through the storm, leaving no room for argument. The driver's furious face glares back from the rearview mirror. His eyes burn with the self-righteous fury of a true patriot. But Shen Qingshun's gaze remains as cold and steady as the rain outside. He simply sits there, a silent storm of resolve against the driver's tantrum. Unfazed, Shen Qingshun reaches into his bag for his own form of persuasion. He tosses a thick stack of cash, a silent counteroffer to the driver's rage. The driver snatches the money from the air, his tirade cut short. He stares at the payment, his righteous fury suddenly looking very negotiable. With a screech of tires, the car lurches forward, back on its course. They drive deeper into the night, leaving the city and its judgments behind. 2 hours later, they approach a checkpoint, a banner warning they're leaving the safe zone. Another sign cautions them about the monsters that roam these roads. The driver's bravado is gone, replaced by the grim focus of a man in danger. But Shen Qingsun's expression is unchanged, his eyes fixed on the war ahead. The news report continues, painting Shen Qingshun as a national disgrace. The driver glances at his phone, his expression darkening with every word. He reads an article praising war heroes while vilifying his passenger. His eyes narrow, the patriotic fury from before returning with a vengeance. But his righteous anger is cut short by a violent, sudden impact. He's thrown from his seat, the world spinning into chaos. Through the shattered windshield, he sees the cause of their crash. A colossal ape-like beast emerges from the rain-soaked darkness. Its faceless gaze seems to promise a brutal, merciless end. The driver is ripped from the car, his patriotic fervor suddenly very irrelevant. The beast swats the driver aside with a single, brutal motion. His body hits the pavement, his patriotic rant silenced for good. Shen Qingsun's system identifies the creature, a high-level devil ape. He questions how such a powerful monster could be this deep in the rear. He realizes his return has somehow accelerated the timeline of the invasion. But there's no time for shock, only for action as his power awakens. With a determined cry, he prepares to engage the beast himself. His eyes flare, glowing with an intense, otherworldly light. A wild, almost manic grin spreads across his face. This isn't fear. It's the thrill of a battle he's been waiting for. He summons a blade of pure energy, bringing it down upon the beast. Shen Qingsun pours every ounce of his newfound power into the strike. The devil ape can only brace for the impact, its face contorted in shock. The attack connects, a blinding flash of light against the monster's hide. The colossal beast is sent flying, completely overwhelmed by the force. It crashes onto the pavement, skidding across the rain-soaked ground. But the devil ape is far from finished, slowly rising to its feet. Elsewhere, the green-eyed man watches with a smirk, noting the beast's resilience. The monster faces Shen Qingshun, a new power gathering in its chest. It unleashes a furious roar, preparing to return the favor with a vengeance. The green-eyed man realizes the beast is about to self-destruct, but as the ape prepares its final attack, a new shadow falls over the battlefield. Its desperate gambit is cut short as a massive jaw clamps down around it. The devil ape is unceremoniously devoured, its final roar silenced for good. Shen Qingshun now faces the true threat, a colossal, wolf-like creature. It snarls, its breath a cloud of steam in the cold, pouring rain. The creature reveals itself fully, a monstrous lion with a mane of fire. And the green-eyed man smirks, apparently the master of this new beast. He stands before his monstrous companion, a king surveying his new domain. But his dramatic entrance is ruined by a girl with an umbrella, ordering his pet to heel. The green-eyed man can only stare, his grand entrance completely hijacked. The true master of the beast is a woman with a red umbrella. She stands atop the creature's head, a queen on her living throne. With a single command, the colossal beast lies down like a puppy. She gracefully lands before Shen Qingshun, the rain parting around her. She apologizes, explaining her five-tailed beast was just a bit peckish. Shen Qingshun remains silent, sizing up this strange new arrival. She then offers a rather personal form of compensation for the stolen kill. But our boy seems completely unfazed by her forward proposition. She insists it's the only payment she has to offer. Shen Qingshun studies the mysterious woman who keeps her gaze fixed on the ground. He wonders why she seems so submissive, never once meeting his eyes. Her timid demeanor doesn't match the immense power he can sense from her. She commands a beast that devoured a devil ape, and he suspects this isn't her only secret. Cutting through the tension, he simply asks for her name. She looks up, startled, and introduces herself as Li Wanwan. He senses no malice from her, deciding the best course of action is to leave. But instead of walking away, he takes the umbrella from her hand. His hand covers hers, a simple gesture that shatters her composure. She finally looks up, her face a mask of shock and confusion. He accepts her payment, promising to return the umbrella when he can. Li Wanwan is left speechless, her face a mixture of shock and embarrassment. Her five-tailed beast, however, is not pleased, letting out a furious roar. Shen Qingshun glances back, his expression calm as he walks into the night. The colossal creature continues to snarl, its gaze locked on our hero. The green-eyed man observes the scene, noting the beast's intimidating stare. But he quickly realizes it's not anger he's sensing, it's fear. Shen Qingshun continues on his path, disappearing into the rain-soaked woods. As the beast roars again, he casually tosses the umbrella back without looking. The green-eyed man smirks, amused by this strange, silent challenge. The five-tailed beast stares down, its massive form trembling before the green-eyed man, who, for all his bluster, now fumbles with the umbrella like he's never seen one before. The red umbrella clatters to the ground, abandoned in the pouring rain. The colossal creature recoils, its fear of Shen Qingshun now transferred to his proxy. The storm rages on, washing away the traces of their strange encounter. Li Wanwan is left standing alone, her composure completely shattered. She seems lost and vulnerable in the middle of the desolate road. The green-eyed man calls out her name, his voice cutting through the downpour. Snapped back to reality, she turns and flees into the night. She arrives at a hidden outpost, reporting to a scarred and imposing commander. The commander demands to know why she abandoned her post without permission. He's identified as Commander Wu Qin, a 3-star fighter and a key asset. Li Wanwan can only look down, her expression a mix of shame and defiance. But her 5-tailed beast rises behind her, a silent, snarling warning. Commander Wu continues his tirade, questioning her motives for leaving the battle. She remains silent, a lonely figure caught in the storm of his anger. One of his subordinates tries to intervene, suggesting she's learned her lesson. But the commander turns on him, offering him a permanent post in the rear. He mockingly suggests the soldier team up with the deserter from the university. The soldier immediately backpedals, because nothing inspires loyalty like a good threat. Commander Wu continues his lecture, vowing to report her for abandoning her post. He promises that punishment is coming for Li Wanwan, his voice echoing in the storm. But as he speaks, a strange energy begins to crackle around his hand. The commander freezes, suddenly feeling an immense pressure weighing him down. He looks up to see a small, glowing spirit descending from the stormy sky. The tiny creature unleashes a wave of force, slamming him back. He can only cry out in disbelief as the attack connects. His eyes widen, reflecting the power of this unexpected assault. And in the middle of the downpour, Li Wanwan stands completely dry. The commander can only stare, realizing the true source of the power he just faced. The 5-tailed beast lunges forward, a blur of fur and fury. Its eyes blaze with protective rage, a clear warning to the commander. A blast of energy sends the commander stumbling back in the rain. He finally recognizes the creature, a legendary beast of immense power. As the confrontation rages, a figure with a red umbrella walks away. It's the green-eyed man who apparently recovered from his fumbling attempt to catch it. He glances back, his expression a mix of curiosity and calculation. He watches another powerful creature ascend into the stormy night sky. He realizes the war of species has begun, and the powers involved are already formidable. With that thought, he turns and walks away, disappearing into the downpour. The green-eyed man continues on his way, umbrella in hand. He arrives at a bus stop, the sign pointing toward the rear guard. He stands alone in the downpour, his expression thoughtful. He realizes that his own return has also altered the flow of events. His system confirms it, showing the experience gained from the devil ape. His gaze is fixed on the path ahead, a new plan already forming. He waits patiently for his ride, a solitary figure against the storm. A bus finally arrives, its lights a beacon in the dark, rainy night. Without hesitation, he steps aboard, leaving the storm behind him. Because even mysterious, godlike figures have to pay the bus fare. The green-eyed man rides the bus, surrounded by the weary faces of civilians. A news report plays, detailing how a top student from the university refused to enlist. The anchor's voice drips with contempt, calling the act a cowardly betrayal. The man listens calmly, even as the news displays a picture of his own face by mistake. A young boy points, recognizing the face from the screen. He innocently asks his grandmother why the man on the bus is a deserter. The grandmother scolds him, calling the man a disgrace not to be emulated. She pulls the boy close, shielding him from the supposed coward in their midst. The passenger's judgment turns to anger as the man stands, holding a strange object. He draws a weapon, a silent challenge to the mob that has already condemned him. An old man with a cane steps forward to confront the supposed deserter. He tells the young man to sit down, his voice firm with righteous anger. He even offers his own hand, a gesture of unexpected civility. But the green-eyed man politely declines, insisting the elderly should be seated. He offers a simple thank you, his smile holding a hidden meaning. With a gentle push, he guides the old man into an empty seat. But a flash of strange energy leaves the old man stunned and speechless. The confrontation over, the green-eyed man pulls up his hood, melting back into the shadows. He calmly puts away the weapon that caused such a stir, and in its place he pulls out 2 small, unassuming metal bolts. He settles back into the shadows, a knowing smirk on his lips. He tunes out the world, completely unfazed by the judgment around him. But the old man is left reeling, the strange energy coursing through him. His shock quickly turns to rage as he screams at the insolent youth. He demands the driver stop the bus, refusing to travel another second. The driver agrees, declaring he won't share his bus with such scum. The other passengers join in, a chorus of righteous indignation. With a heavy sigh, the driver gives in to their demands. The bus pulls over to the side of the road, its journey interrupted. Because public transportation is apparently a privilege reserved for patriots, the passengers continue their tirade, boasting of their own courage. But their patriotic rally is cut short by a sudden violent gust of wind. Umbrellas are ripped from their hands as something massive descends. The storm they were judging is nothing compared to the one arriving now. The crowd can only stare in horror, their bravado gone in an instant. The old man finds himself frozen in place, his body betraying his fear. His eyes widen, reflecting the true face of the war he so eagerly discussed. Li Wanwan's five-tailed beast lands with a furious, earth-shaking roar. And it's not alone. A small, glowing spirit hovers in the air above it. The tiny creature seems to be the source of the immense pressure. The five-tailed beast stands revealed, a terrifying omen against the city skyline. The tiny spirit plummets through the rain, a harbinger of the chaos to come. It hits the ground with an explosive force, sending a shockwave through the street. The old man's righteous fury evaporates, replaced by pure, unadulterated terror. The self-proclaimed patriots are brought to their knees by a power they can't comprehend. He realizes he can move, a small miracle in the face of overwhelming dread. Their only thought is escape, desperately clawing their way back toward the bus. But the driver, once their ally in judgment, now abandons them to their fate. Inside, the green-eyed man watches the scene unfold with cold indifference. The young boy who pointed him out now sees the true face of the storm they've awakened. The boy looks up, asking if the quiet man was the one who protected them. The green-eyed man simply stares back, his silence a mystery. But the child's face lights up, convinced he's in the presence of a true hero. He urges the man to tell everyone what he did, to prove them all wrong. But his grandmother yanks him back, refusing to let him near the deserter. She spits that it's a waste of time to even look at him. The boy struggles, screaming that this man is a hero who saved them all. The other passengers just laugh, because mob mentality rarely rewards nuance. Through it all, the green-eyed man remains a statue of cold indifference. He turns to the window, his focus already on a much larger battlefield. The green-eyed man's gaze hardens with a single silent promise. He can do this. He watches the city lights blur past, a solitary figure on a lonely journey. He grips the red umbrella, channeling his energy into the unassuming object. His eyes flare with power, a reflection of the storm brewing within. He plants the umbrella's tip on the floor, unleashing a wave of energy. The energy converges, creating a beacon that pulses through the vehicle. A protective barrier envelops the bus, a shield against the coming chaos. It speeds through the night, a bubble of safety in a world of monsters. But outside, a new threat takes to the sky, its red eyes fixed on its prey. Its gaze is a promise of destruction, a hunter closing in for the kill. A hulking horned beast watches from the woods, its red eyes fixed on the bus. High above, the winged creature from before circles like a patient vulture. It dives from the sky, a blur of fur and feathers aimed at its target. The storm rages on, a perfect cover for the chaos about to unfold. The driver can only stare in terror as the monster descends upon them. But the bus continues on, protected by a shield they can't even see. Elsewhere, a military convoy navigates the same treacherous mountain roads. Armored trucks cut through the rain, heading toward the growing conflict. Inside, Commander Wu-chin looks on, his expression as grim as the weather. He reviews a report, his hand steady despite the turbulent ride. The file identifies the girl as Li Wanwan, a 17-year-old with a legendary power. His subordinate checks on him, concerned after the display of overwhelming force. Commander Wu insists he's fine, but knows this development must be reported immediately. He also vows to see Li Wanwan punished for her defiance, regardless of her power. The convoy presses on, the tension inside matching the storm outside. A soldier reports that the winged monster has finally retreated from the area. But the commander's anger hasn't subsided, his frustration etched in every line. He lets out a heavy sigh, the memory of the encounter still fresh. He admits he never wants to face that creature again. Because who would? He confesses its gaze was more terrifying than any monster he's ever fought. His subordinate decides he'll try to reason with Li Wanwan when they arrive. But Commander Wu-chin is still simmering with a cold, calculated rage. Elsewhere, a woman explains that these summoned creatures are just another race in the war. Back in the convoy, the commander's frustration finally boils over, snapping his pen in two. He argues that they can't risk unleashing more monsters they can't control. His subordinate counters that Li Wanwan is their strongest asset, but they've reached their limit. Their argument is violently interrupted as an unseen force slams into their truck. Commander Wu crumples the report in his hand, his anger reaching its peak. He tears the paper to shreds because paperwork is the first casualty of war. He screams that with her power, she has a duty to control it, not act recklessly. The shredded report flutters to the ground, a casualty of his fury. His rage finds a new target as he glares at a name on his screen. The face of Shen Qingshun, the so-called deserter, stares back at him. He decides to pay the rear guard a visit to make the coward regret his choice. Because in his mind, some fates are far worse than a simple death. With a new mission in mind, Commander Wu sets out into the stormy night. His convoy cuts through the rain, carrying a man with a serious grudge. But their journey is cut short as a familiar beast blocks their path. Li Wanwan and her five-tailed guardian stand defiant, a living roadblock. She sits atop her throne of fur and fury, apparently ready for round 2. Li Wanwan gently scolds her beast, reminding it to be more obedient in the future. Her mind flashes back to the raw power she witnessed from Shen Qingshun. She admits that even on the front lines, she's never seen such a formidable fighter. Her five-tailed beast lets out a low, rumbling growl, its loyalty absolute. She reminds her companion that survival is the only rule that matters in this war. Meanwhile, the bus carrying the green-eyed man continues its lonely journey. It cuts through the rain-soaked darkness, a single point of light in the woods. The vehicle presses on, carrying its passengers toward the rear guard. The green-eyed man's eyes snap open as the bus finally reaches its destination. He pulls up his hood, ready to step back into the storm and begin his mission. The bus doors open, and the passengers disembark into the night. But the green-eyed man makes a slightly more dramatic exit, surveying the crowd below. At the checkpoint, a guard meticulously checks each person's credentials. He calls for the next person in line, his voice echoing in the quiet station. A female officer directs a family toward a glowing passage, a gateway to safety. She stops the green-eyed man, asking for his purpose in the rear guard. But he simply walks past her, his focus fixed on something far more important. He presents his identification, a simple card with his face on it. Without a word, he places it on the scanner, letting technology do the talking. The gate opens and he steps through, because even mysterious heroes need a pass. The officer tries to stop him, insisting he needs instructions for the passage. But he pays her no mind, his attention already fixed on the path ahead. He glances back, his gaze cold as he reveals he's been here before. A memory surfaces of how humanity first discovered these passages 10 years ago. They explored other worlds, becoming pioneers in the dark between dimensions. He steps into the heart of that power, a swirling vortex of light. His expression is calm, a stark contrast to the chaotic energy before him. A blinding flash of light signals his arrival at his destination. He finds himself in a bustling, futuristic city, the heart of the rear guard. This is the last bastion of humanity, a city built on borrowed technology and hope. He's back in the city, acknowledging this is the first time he's arrived whole. A flash of memory reveals a past life filled with painful experiments and cybernetic implants. He takes a deep breath, surveying the last bastion of humanity he once died for. But his quiet moment is interrupted by two women, one of whom sneers at his arrival. Shen Qingshun listens to her insults, his expression a mask of cold indifference. He clenches his fist, recognizing the woman who has apparently always been this pleasant. She taunts him by name, asking if a deserter like him even understands anger. The tension is thick as she stands before him, arms crossed in judgment. Her companion joins in, pointing and jeering like a trained attack dog. Shen Qingshun can only look down, dismissing their entire performance as pure idiocy. Her companion eggs her on, telling Commander Lin Q to teach this deserter a lesson. The two face off, a palpable tension filling the space between them. She challenges him directly, asking if he has the guts to explain his cowardice. Shen Qingshun's expression remains unreadable, his gaze steady. He grits his teeth, a silent breath of frustration escaping him. But just as quickly, he relaxes his hand, letting the anger go. He simply turns his back on her, refusing to engage in her games. Lin Qiu scoffs, mocking him for backing down from a woman. But Shen Qingshun's gaze is distant, as if her words are meaningless noise. He begins to walk away, leaving her standing alone in her own power. Her fury erupts as she screams, demanding to know how he dares ignore her. A dark, swirling energy explodes from her, a promise of imminent violence. She introduces herself as Commander Lin Q, head of intelligence, her weapon materializing. She demands he report to his superiors, questioning where he thinks he's going. But he remains a small, unmoving figure before her towering authority. Shen Qingshun simply looks back, his expression unreadable and unimpressed. She goads him, daring him to prove he's not just going to run away. His answer isn't a word, but a single, unassuming card held between his fingers. With a flick of his wrist, the card multiplies, glowing with a strange, ethereal power. He finally speaks, declaring his official title, Rear Guard Serviceman Shen Qingshun. She scoffs, claiming he's just here to deliver a message. But Shen Qingxun simply calls her posturing a trivial matter. Lin Qiu accepts the challenge, raising a hand to meet his glowing card. The card flies toward her, a silent projectile of pure authority. Her eyes widen as she realizes the immense power contained within it. She brings her blade down, attempting to shatter the unassuming card. But in a flash of light, it's her weapon that explodes into pieces. She can only stare in disbelief, her mind struggling to process what happened. How could a simple identification card destroy her battle-forged blade? She looks down at the fragments of her prized weapon, apparently not covered by warranty. She can't believe it, wondering how this supposed weakling shattered her legendary blade. Her eyes are wide, a storm of fury and disbelief raging within them. The commander's tough exterior finally cracks, her composure completely shattered. Her companion continues the tirade, screaming insults about him being a coward. But Shen Qingxun simply turns his back, leaving the commander to her broken pride. His gaze is sharp, his resolve hardened by a war she can't even comprehend. A massive spectral tiger erupts behind him, a silent roar of overwhelming power. Lin Qiu freezes, finally recognizing the terrifying pressure in his gaze. And just like that, the deserter has left the legendary commander in his shadow. He's already reported in, his mission here officially complete. Her companion can only short-circuit, her brain unable to process the commander's defeat. Shen Qingxun casually asks them to sort out the formalities, already moving on. Commander Lin Qiu is left standing alone, a statue of shock in the bustling city. Her legendary pride has been reduced to a fuming, scribbled mess of pure frustration. Meanwhile, our boy navigates the corridors, following the numbers to his destination. His gaze is fixed, his mind already focused on the next step of his mission. But behind him, a pair of white boots stomps forward with renewed purpose. Shen Qingxun arrives before a swirling portal guarded by 2 stone lions. A sign identifies the location, the rear guard service for the allied races. The stone guardian's eyes flare red, a silent warning to all who approach. He notes that the distance to the lions is exactly as he remembers it. The world hasn't changed, but the power systems and growth rates are different now. He places his hand on the stone lion, activating a holographic interface. The guardian scans him, identifying him as a human from Earth. Its eyes flare to life, the ancient guardian now fully awake. The statue welcomes him, offering its assistance like a very polite bouncer. Shen Qingxun states his purpose. He needs access to the combat simulation room. The orb in the lion's mouth begins to glow with an intense energy. A powerful beam of red light shoots forth, carving a path through reality itself. The beam reveals a sprawling, high-tech city hidden within the portal. The beam reveals his destination, the simulation training room. The portal activates, a swirling gateway of pure energy. The stone guardian gives him a simple instruction. Don't look around. Shen Qingxun acknowledges the warning with a silent, steady gaze. He steps into the vortex, the guardian's voice echoing in his mind. The path ahead is a glowing bridge through a chaotic dimension, but the constant warnings are starting to get on his nerves. His eyes narrow because rules are for people who haven't died before. He stops, taking in the breathtaking view of the cosmos around him. And immediately, an immense gravity crushes down on him for his defiance. He grits his teeth, his eyes glowing as he fights against the crushing force. But a system notification reveals this isn't a punishment, it's a power-up. He realizes this dangerous abyss is the perfect training ground for his skills. Just like the devil ape, this place is boosting his power level. He silences the repeated warnings, choosing to embrace the chaos.
He sits down, deciding to see what other benefits this place has to offer.
But his defiance awakens something massive from the void below. The creature's maw becomes a vortex, pulling him toward his doom. Shen Qingxun simply notes that the gravitational pull has increased, and it seems he's made the local wildlife extremely angry. His system confirms the level up, and he can't help but celebrate the progress. He tests his newfound power on the creature, though he wishes the effect was stronger. But the beast is having none of it, turning tail and fleeing into the void. He can only stare in disbelief as the massive creature actually runs away from him. And just like that, another level-up notification appears, his power growing rapidly. A satisfied smile spreads across his face as he feels the surge of new strength. His system explains that his power is growing at an exponential rate, beyond all expectations. And our boy looks absolutely thrilled by this unexpected turn of events. The Guardian's voice returns, once again warning him to leave and not look around. Meanwhile, back in the storm, an armored vehicle cuts through the night. The five-tailed beast looms over the armored truck, a living mountain of fur and fury. But Commander Wu Qin stands his ground, his face a mask of grim determination. Atop her living throne, Li Wanwan's gaze is distant, her defiance unwavering. Behind him, his soldiers stand in perfect formation, a silent, disciplined force. Elsewhere, a uniformed officer looks on in surprise as a new group arrives. She approaches a cloaked commander and his returning squadron of soldiers. She formally welcomes the soldiers back on behalf of the rear guard service. With a deep bow, she thanks them for their service and directs them home. She even winks, promising them a special reinforced bridge for their return. The commander acknowledges their support, because a little gratitude goes a long way. The officer shakes his hand, formally expressing her gratitude. But the commander adds a gentle pat, a gesture that lingers a moment too long. She's left flustered, a blush creeping up her cheeks at the unexpected contact. He salutes, explaining that it's time for them to rest after a long journey. With a raised hand, he gives the order for his squadron to move out. His soldiers stand in perfect, almost unnerving formation behind him. The officer praises their courage, comparing them to the sewer rat Shen Qingshun. The commander agrees, vowing to make the deserter regret his decision. She nods enthusiastically, completely captivated by his righteous speech. With a smile, she gestures for the commander and his troops to proceed. Meanwhile, another powerful beast rider leaps through the night, a blur of white fur and red silk. The female officer is left completely charmed by the commander's presence. The mysterious pink-haired rider gives a subtle nod, her expression unreadable. The officer muses that only the most valiant warrior could be worthy of such a woman. And Li Wanwan continues her silent vigil, a queen on her throne of fire. The commander's soldiers march in perfect, almost unsettling unison. They move with an air of supreme confidence, their mission a clear success. One of the soldiers notes how respectful the officer was to their commander. Another hopes to one day command that same level of respect himself. He's already dreaming of the honors they'll receive for their victories in battle. The pink-haired rider watches from the shadows as the soldiers march on. Their destination is a glowing, high-tech gateway between worlds. The commander warns them that the passage is a trial for the mind. He instructs them to prepare themselves, for he will lead the way. With his duty done, he steps bravely into the swirling vortex. The massive beast and its rider watch as the portal flares to life. His soldiers are fired up, vowing to follow his heroic example. They boast of their courage, dismissing the commander's cautious words. But the pink-haired rider's expression is far more somber. With a simple gesture, she signals that it's time for them to depart. The pink-haired rider and her beast watch from a distance, their purpose still a mystery. The commander steps into the blinding light of the portal, ready to face the trial. He emerges on the other side, recognizing the familiar, disorienting sensation of travel. But his heroic entrance is immediately ruined by a bout of severe motion sickness. He complains that the spatial rift always leaves him feeling completely nauseous. He'd honestly rather face a horde of monsters than endure this feeling again. The battle-hardened commander tries to regain his composure after the undignified trip. So much for a grand return. Even war heroes aren't immune to travel sickness. But he quickly pulls himself together, his gaze hardening with resolve. Before him stands the Grand Hall of the Rear Guard, their journey's end. The Grand Hall of the Rear Guard stands before him, a beacon of light and hope. He hopes the new recruits didn't witness his less-than-heroic entrance. A quick burst of energy cleans the dust from his uniform, restoring his dignity. He strikes a confident pose because looking the part is half the battle. His subordinate can only stare, wondering if the commander is truly all right. But his thoughts turn back to the mysterious rider and her powerful beast. He warns himself not to treat her like a normal person. She's a monster. He recalls the sheer scale of the creature, a living mountain of power, and the calm, unreadable expression of the woman who controlled it. He wonders just how much of his undignified arrival she witnessed. The mysterious rider gives a subtle nod, her gaze fixed on the commander below. He explains that nausea is a natural side effect of dimensional travel, a weakness he can't hide, but she insists she's fine, completely unfazed by the journey. The commander's gaze hardens, his patience clearly wearing thin. He erupts, demanding she dismount and show proper respect for this sacred ground. He reminds her this path was paved with the blood of fallen heroes. His sudden outburst leaves the young woman completely stunned. She calls out to her beast, her voice a quiet, calming command. With a gentle pat, she soothes the massive creature beneath her. The beast responds with a furious roar, a clear challenge to the commander's authority. The commander stands his ground, his resolve as solid as the ground beneath him. He scolds her, declaring that this path was built on the honor of heroes, not monsters. The two powerful figures face off, a silent clash of authority and defiance. Their destination, the Grand Hall of the Rear Guard, glimmers in the distance. But his heroic soldiers are all busy redecorating the floor with their lunch. One of them complains that the internet severely downplayed the side effects of portal travel. Another wisely concludes that you shouldn't believe everything you read online. The first soldier groans that it felt less like a journey and more like a stampede. The entire squadron sways, their tough guy act completely undone by motion sickness. And while his men are down for the count, their commander stands alone, a pillar of strength. The cloaked commander turns, his expression hardening with cold fury. His eyes burn with a mixture of anger and disappointment. He unleashes a burst of energy, ordering his men to get up. The blast sends his entire squadron flying, a harsh lesson in discipline. He stands over them, a towering figure of authority and judgment. He berates them for their weakness, calling them a disgrace to the empire. His soldiers can only stand in shame, their heads bowed low. He declares them a complete and utter disappointment. Apparently, tough love is the commander's preferred teaching method. His rage echoes through the hall, his disappointment absolute. The soldiers can only bow their heads, accepting their commander's harsh judgment. One of them speaks up, explaining they're new recruits with no battle experience. Another breaks down, admitting he doesn't want to go to the front lines. The commander roars in disbelief, his fury ignited by the soldiers' words. He stands over them, his posture radiating pure, unadulterated rage. His eyes glow with a menacing red light, his patience completely exhausted. He raises a hand, channeling his immense power into a single, terrifying point. A demonic spirit materializes, grabbing the terrified soldier by the collar. The commander looms over him, daring him to repeat his moment of weakness. The young soldier can only tremble, his courage completely shattered by the display. The commander's shadow looms, a demonic presence over the terrified soldier. The young man begs for his life, admitting he's a coward who just wants to survive. He offers to do any menial task, even raising pigs if it means avoiding the front lines. But the commander's eyes hold no pity, only cold, hard judgment. He answers the soldier's plea with a single devastating blow. The recruit is consumed by a blinding flash of golden energy. A violent explosion rocks the hall, leaving nothing behind. The commander stands unmoved, his fist still smoking from the execution. His comrades can only stare in horror, realizing he actually killed their friend. He turns to the remaining soldiers, his lesson in discipline now complete. He declares that all deserters will meet the same end, vowing to give Shen Qingshun death. But Shen Qingshun is far away, stepping into the portal he just opened. The Stone Guardian's eyes dim, its duty now complete. Shen Qingshun emerges on the other side, his expression unreadable. He finds himself in a vast, sterile, high-tech chamber. A small floating robot zips over to greet the new arrival. It welcomes him to the simulation, asking him to choose an intensity level. But our boy has never been one for following the instructions. He gives a simple, unexpected command: turn off the lights. The little robot can only stare, its programming clearly not prepared for this. The robot warns him that the simulation requires caution, advising against turning off the lights. But Shen Qingshun simply leans against the wall, announcing he's going to sleep. The machine continues its patriotic spiel, talking about soldiers eager for battle. It asks if he's even listening, its digital voice full of confusion. His eyes snap open, repeating his one-word command with chilling intensity: sleep. A wave of freezing energy erupts from him, washing over the entire chamber. The sterile room is instantly transformed into a frozen, silent wasteland. The little robot shivers, its circuits clearly not rated for sub-zero temperatures. He wonders aloud why force is the only way to get a moment of peace. The robot's optical sensor whirs, finally understanding the gravity of its situation. He lies back, concluding that humanity only ever listens to the voice of the strongest. Back at the Grand Hall, the cloaked commander addresses his disgraced soldiers. The mysterious pink-haired rider watches the scene unfold from atop her beast. He turns to his remaining soldiers, his lesson far from over. His scarred face is a mask of cold, unwavering authority. He asks them if they know the history of this sacred ground. They can only bow their heads in silence, their ignorance on full display. He roars that their squad's legacy was forged by heroes who never faltered. His words finally seem to break through their fear and shame. They roar in unison, their fighting spirit finally reignited. He tells them the stories they learned were of a gift from their predecessors. But a cruel smile hints at a much darker truth. He turns to his men, declaring that heroic history is nothing but a childish lie. The commander's face twists with rage as he reveals they were robbed. His soldiers can only stare, their patriotic programming officially short-circuiting. Even the mysterious pink-haired rider seems taken aback by his words. Her beast lets out a roar as if echoing the commander's fury. He explains that their world became a bridge between countless realms, but humanity's first instinct upon arrival was always to conquer and kill. He reveals this sacred hall was built on the blood of 800 martyrs. He explains that by killing them, they stole their world and their future. The recruits can only stare, their heroic ideals crumbling before their eyes. Even the pink-haired rider is stunned by the sheer brutality of humanity's actions. The commander scoffs, admitting they've destroyed dozens of other kingdoms. One of the soldiers stammers, unable to accept this horrifying truth. Another points to his uniform, questioning if they're truly protectors. The soldier's patriotism gives way to a crisis of conscience. They ask if peace is impossible, if their honor must be sacrificed for progress. They join to defend their home, not to become the monsters they fight. But the commander silences them, because history is only written by the winners. The commander scoffs, calling their moral dilemma utterly foolish. He unleashes another wave of power, his fist glowing with conviction. The recruits can only stare, their ideals shattered by his brutal logic. They're pushed back by the sheer force of his will, a lesson in reality. His scarred face is a mask of cold, unwavering certainty. He declares the universe is a dark forest where only the strongest survive. He stands before them, a preacher of a much darker gospel. His words send a ripple of fear and confusion through the ranks. He doubts they'd be so friendly if they met a real predator in the woods, and in his vision, they are surrounded by the glowing eyes of countless hunters. He tells them that in this dark forest, they have no other choice. Their only option is to fight, to become the predators themselves. He punctuates his point with another blast of pure, violent force. He calls it the law of the jungle, where progress demands sacrifice. The recruits can only listen in horror, their worldview completely shattered. But one soldier finds his courage, accusing him of glorifying cruelty. He declares he would rather die than follow such a monstrous path. The commander stares him down, unimpressed by his sudden bravery. His fist glows once more because HR complaints are handled differently here, and with a single punch he silences the dissenter permanently. The soldier is sent flying, a brutal end to his defiance. His comrades can only stare in shock, their faces spattered with blood. Even the mysterious rider is stunned by the commander's brutal display. The soldier's body hits the ground, his life extinguished in an instant. He lies broken on the floor, his last breath a silent gasp. The commander orders his men to leave him, letting him die alone. He accuses them of hypocrisy, enjoying the spoils without the sacrifice. With his point made, he turns to leave, his lesson brutally delivered. He strides toward the portal, leaving the beast and its rider in his wake. But the beast's tails fill the gateway, a silent, powerful presence. The beast and its rider descend, a living comet aimed at the lone commander. They've arrived at the Allied Races Service Department, the heart of the rear guard. The pink-haired rider looks down, her voice trembling as she questions his methods. He asks if she understands why he leads the world's most bloodthirsty squad. Blood drips from his clenched fist, a testament to his violent creed. He reveals the simple reason: all the other candidates are already dead. She can only watch as he walks away, his lesson in brutality complete. The commander's gaze is unwavering, his conviction absolute. Her beast lets out a low growl, sensing its master's turmoil. Tears stream down her face as she finally admits how cruel he truly is. The pink-haired rider breaks down, unable to watch his cruelty any longer. But the commander simply turns back, his gaze as cold as steel. He roars that he only did what was necessary in a world with no room for weakness. He sneers that cowards don't deserve to be on the team, let alone lead it. She can only weep, her spirit crushed by his brutal philosophy. Her beast looms over the lone commander, a silent, furry judgment. He declares that such men are useless, fleeing at the first sign of danger. Above, patrol drones zip through the city, completely unaware of the drama. The beast and its rider stand defiant, a stark contrast to the lone commander. She sits atop her companion, trembling, her back turned to the monster below. He tells her that if you're a soldier, you must serve with dignity. But his brutal philosophy only deepens her overwhelming despair. A single tear falls, a silent protest against his cruel world. With his lesson delivered, the commander turns and walks away. The symbol on his cloak marks him as a man of unwavering conviction. High above the city, a lone drone patrols the moonlit sky. The commander arrives in a grand hall, greeted by a spectral guardian. He stands before the familiar portal, its stone lion sentinel now awake. The guardian greets him, asking the great commander for his destination. He gives a curt, formal reply, his gaze fixed on the path ahead. The pink-haired rider can only weep, her heart broken by his cruelty. But her tears earn no sympathy, only a look of pure disgust. He turns to the guardian, announcing he's here to use the training grounds. The stone lion awakens, its ancient magic stirring once more. A familiar red beam cuts through the air, revealing his destination. The path leads to the same simulation room Shen Qingchun now occupies. The guardian announces the portal is ready because even monsters get VIP service. But she's not done with him yet, deciding she has something to show him. She warns him to pay close attention, her challenge now clear. He explains the original inhabitants are still alive, locked away to watch their conquerors. The beast and its rider charge forward, a wave of fury aimed at the lone commander, but he pays them no mind, his gaze fixed on the swirling vortex ahead. The portal's trial is already taking its toll, his eyes bloodshot with strain. He grits his teeth, fighting against a pressure that would crush a lesser man. His fist clenches, trembling with the effort to maintain his composure. He stands against the chaotic energy, a pillar of defiance in the storm. With a roar, he accepts the challenge, ready to begin the true test. He unleashes his own power, pushing back against the portal's immense force. He declares that the weak are indecisive, but the strong always take what they want. With a hand to his chest, he reaffirms his brutal, unwavering conviction. He pulls out a single pill, a last resort for a man who lives on the edge. Without hesitation, he swallows it, ready to unleash the beast within. He leaps into the portal, leaving the pink-haired rider to watch in shock. Inside the vortex, his body begins to contort, his uniform tearing at the seams. He's consumed by a blinding light, his screams lost in the dimensional chaos. His hair grows long and wild, his face twisting into a mask of pure agony. His back arches as his muscles expand, shattering the last of his restraints. The transformation completes, turning the commander into a hulking monster. His eyes now glow with a feral light, his humanity replaced by raw power. He lands on the other side, a true predator ready for the hunt. The pink-haired rider stares in disbelief, noting he's now twice his original size. Dark energy swirls around his monstrous form as he adjusts to his new power. The chaotic energy coalesces, a storm of pure, untamed power. She watches in horror, questioning the grotesque transformation of his arm. She shivers, recalling his brutality and the strange pill that made him a monster. He feels the raw power coursing through his veins, a euphoric rush. She can only watch from her beast, a silent witness to his monstrous change. He roars, ready to set a new high score because that's what's truly important. The timer ticks past a minute, but the immense power is already taking its toll. But his eyes burn with feral determination, refusing to yield. He grits his teeth, the monstrous form straining under the immense pressure. But a crazed smile spreads across his face. He's shattered the old record. The power fades and his hulking form collapses as the transformation ends. The pink-haired rider can only watch in stunned silence. His wild hair recedes, the monstrous features melting away. His muscles shrink, returning him to his original human form. But his transformed arm begins to crack and crumble apart. A sudden realization hits him. The alien serum has its limits. While it grants immense power, it offers no special healing properties. He stands once more, but the price of his new record is clear. His arm is gone. He stands before the beast and its rider, his missing arm a small price for power. He justifies his actions, claiming their cruelty will be forgotten in the face of victory. But his words offer no comfort, only deepening her overwhelming despair. The beast warns him to move on, that his path will not go unnoticed. He tells her to focus on power, to level up her beasts and minimize their losses. She turns away, unable to face the man who shattered her ideals. He leaves her with a final chilling warning. Next time, he won't spare the weak. With his lesson delivered, he walks away, leaving her in the swirling darkness. She collapses, enveloped by her beast's tails, her spirit completely broken. He muses that his new power needs a test subject, hoping Shen Qingshun crosses his path. Commander Wu emerges from the portal, missing an arm but victorious. The Stone Guardian begins to speak, addressing him with concern. But Wu cuts it off, demanding silence and a fresh set of clothes. The Guardian dutifully agrees, because customer service is key. Now fully dressed, he strides into the city, leaving the portal behind. Meanwhile, the pink-haired rider and her beast race through the void. She's still weeping, her spirit crushed by the commander's cruelty, but a flicker of resolve appears in her tear-filled eyes. The portal swirls behind them, a gateway between worlds and philosophies. She clutches her chest, admitting to herself that she's truly afraid. A voice echoes in her mind, telling her there's nothing to fear. The words jolt her from her despair, a sudden spark of resolve. Her eyes widen, a new understanding dawning in her moment of crisis. She remembers the Guardian's warning, a simple rule for a dangerous path. Clenching her fists, she forces herself to look straight ahead, to obey the command. But the temptation to look away is immense, a true test of her will. She pushes forward through the chaotic dimension, her fear a constant companion. And just as it did for Shen Qingshun, a pair of glowing eyes emerges from the abyss. But this time, the creature simply fades back into the darkness, its test complete. The voice returns, affirming that she never needed its power to be strong. The pink-haired rider lets out a quiet sound, acknowledging the voice in her mind. She asks if it was offended by her allowing it to temporarily inhabit her body. With renewed purpose, she commands her beast Jing to press forward. The massive creature bounds through the chaotic dimension, a blur of fur and power. She closes her eyes, her expression calm as she listens to the voice within. It tells her that when she's ready for answers, she must find the man she met today. The voice gently prods her, asking if she is still afraid. The question jolts her from her thoughts, her eyes snapping open in surprise. Meanwhile, the central command tower stands as a beacon in the moonlit city. This is the heart of the Allied race's power, a fortress of steel and light. Her eyes widen, a memory of a certain deserter flashing through her mind. She recalls a rainy night and a quiet promise made under a blood-red sky. He'd borrowed her umbrella, vowing to return it when their paths crossed again. The memory jolts her, a forgotten connection suddenly making perfect sense. With a new target in mind, she declares her fear has finally been replaced by purpose. Meanwhile, the commander arrives at Simulation Room 001, a place reserved for the absolute elite. He scoffs, wondering what fool would dare use this room without his permission. With a confident stride, he moves to access the chamber and confront the intruder. He places his hand on the scanner, his authority granting him immediate access. But the monitor reveals the so-called intruder is just Shen, taking a nap on the floor. Commander Wu roars into the comms, demanding the simulation room be cleared. On the monitor, his furious face looms over the room's sole occupant. Shen Qingshun opens his eyes, looking mildly annoyed at the interruption. He calmly sits up, acknowledging the summons with a weary sigh. The security feed confirms it. Our boy was taking a nap on the floor. Commander Wu can't believe his eyes. Someone was sleeping in his training hall. His rage boils over at the sheer disrespect from this unknown soldier. Unfazed by the commotion, Shen Qingshun casually gets himself ready to leave. He stands, grabs his umbrella, and turns to exit without a second thought. A quick check of his device reveals a smirk. His rest is over and it's time to move. He glances at his device, the screen illuminating his focused expression. It's a file on him, filled with accusations of fraud and desertion. He sighs, annoyed that the rumors are already spreading this fast. But he quickly shrugs it off with a smirk. This was all to be expected. Meanwhile, Commander Wu's rage continues to simmer outside the room. He stands guard at the door, waiting for the disrespectful soldier to emerge. The two finally lock eyes, a clash of cold fury and utter indifference. Shen Qingshun sizes him up, concluding he's just another angry middle manager. He gives a small dismissive nod, further fueling the commander's rage. As Wu's power flares, Shen Qingshun simply turns his back, ready to leave. Commander Wu roars, demanding to know why he's out of uniform on sacred ground. He continues his tirade, listing off infractions from sleeping on duty to disrespecting a superior. Shen Qingshun simply notes that he's still getting used to his new body. But just then, a familiar pair of white boots stomps into the hallway. With a disarming smile, Shen Qingshun offers a completely insincere apology. He follows it up with a lazy salute, claiming he's just a newbie ready to learn. But Wu's expression shifts as he suddenly recalls a report from the logistics department. With a cheerful wave, Shen Qingshun decides he's heard quite enough. He turns to leave once more, his patience for this drama officially expired. But the commander isn't finished, unleashing a blast of energy to stop him in his tracks. Commander Wu's hands crackle with energy as the realization finally dawns on him. He roars, identifying the man before him as the infamous deserter, Shen Qingshun. With a furious cry, he unleashes a devastating punch, a blur of golden light. But Shen Qingshun just watches the attack fly toward him, completely unfazed. Wu screams for him to die, channeling all his rage into the single powerful blow. The blast connects, sending Shen Qingshun skidding violently across the high-tech floor. He digs in his heels, his body bracing against the immense, unfamiliar force. But it's Commander Wu who's left in utter disbelief, his ego clearly taking a direct hit. His eyes are wide with shock, unable to process what just happened. He wonders how a supposed coward could have possibly survived his full power strike. Commander Wu roars that Shen Qingshun is a dead man walking, but Shen Qingshun raises a single hand, stopping the attack in its tracks. The shockwave of the impact sends the commander stumbling backward. Shen Qingshun's eyes narrow, analyzing the commander's true strength. Wu can only stare in disbelief, his rage turning to pure confusion. The two stand opposite each other, the deserter completely unfazed by the commander's power. He wonders if the power system itself has changed since his rebirth. A system notification reminds him a new transformation is available, because of course it is. With a confident smirk, he decides it's time to begin the real fight. Dark energy swirls around him as he prepares to unleash his true power. His eyes flare with an otherworldly light as the transformation takes hold. Sleek, glowing armor encases his arms, crackling with untamed energy. He stands fully transformed, a warrior of shadow and light. Commander Wu can only stare, his tough guy facade completely shattered. Shen Qingsun calmly advises against fighting him, for the commander's own good. He warns that a fight would only leave Wu with some serious psychological trauma. The commander tries to regain control, barking out orders about duty and enemies. But Shen Qingsun simply states he has no intention of fighting him. With a single word, he dismisses the commander and turns to leave. He walks away into the darkness, leaving Wu to contemplate his life choices. But Commander Wu's pride flares, his body erupting in a furious red aura. He seethes, declaring that a soldier of the Empire will not endure this humiliation. With a furious roar, he decides to ignore Shen Qingshun's warning. His uniform shreds as he powers up, vowing to fight with all his strength. He refuses to believe this supposed deserter could possibly be stronger than him. His fist glows with golden energy, ready to deliver a final, devastating judgment. A spectral dragon forms behind him as he lunges forward for the kill. But Shen Qingshun just watches him come, looking thoroughly unimpressed. The commander's fist connects, a direct and powerful hit to the back of his head. The golden dragon roars, unleashing the full force of the commander's rage. Commander Wu screams for his death, his eyes burning with pure hatred. The full force of his attack slams directly into Shen Qingshun's back. But Shen Qingshun doesn't even flinch, his expression utterly calm. Instead, a wave of energy erupts from his body, repelling the blow. The commander is sent flying, his own power turned against him. He coughs up blood, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated shock. The force sends him tumbling helplessly through the air. Shen Qingshun glances back as if asking, "What did you expect?" Commander Wu crashes to the ground, kneeling before the man he tried to kill. His face is a portrait of terror, looks like someone's ego just took a hit. Commander Wu stares, struggling to process a power beyond his comprehension. He remains on his knees, his body trembling with rage and humiliation. His eyes burn with a fury that refuses to accept this crushing defeat. Shen Qingshun calls him out, questioning the strength of a man who preys on recruits. The words hit their mark, and Wu can only seethe in utter disbelief. He roars, unable to accept that a deserter could be so powerful. With his pride shattered, he reaches for a desperate, familiar solution. From his tattered uniform, he pulls out the same monstrous pill as before. He tosses the vial into the air, his last resort now in motion. He catches it, accusing Shen Qingshun of being the very coward he is himself. Shen Qingshun's gaze is cold, analyzing the broken commander before him. He tells Wu to forget this ever happened and return to his duty. He offers a final, chilling piece of advice: don't even think about revenge. But Commander Wu's pride is a wound that will not heal so easily. He roars about the duty of a soldier, swallowing a handful of the forbidden pills. His body erupts in a wave of power, the familiar transformation beginning once more. His face contorts, grotesque tentacles sprouting from his skin. The monster within consumes him, his face becoming a mass of writhing flesh. His arm twists and hardens into a scaly draconic claw. Spikes erupt from his back as he completes his monstrous evolution. A massive spiked tail whips through the air, completing the grotesque change. Commander Wu now towers over him, a true monster of rage and alien science. The creature roars, lecturing Shen Qingshun on the meaning of true conviction. But our boy just stands there, completely unfazed by the dramatic monologue. He lets out a weary breath, his expression one of utter disappointment. He admits he once thought the commander might actually be useful. But now, he's having some serious second thoughts about that assessment. With a clench of his fist, Shen Qingshun decides this farce has gone on long enough. The monster looms, but its terrifying presence has no effect on the man below. He glances at the moon, wondering if this world is even worth protecting. Elsewhere, an officer reviews a personnel file on one Shen Qingshun. His abilities are listed as unknown, a detail that clearly piques her interest. Her eyes narrow with a sudden dawning realization. With a new sense of purpose, she turns to face a far more pressing matter. High above the city, Li Wanwan and her beast keep their silent vigil. Her expression is somber, still reeling from the commander's brutal philosophy. But her quiet moment is interrupted by a visitor from below. The officer introduces herself as Captain Lin Luo, here to deliver an official order. Li Wanwan listens, her expression betraying a hint of apprehension. The order is a promotion, but it comes with a catch. She's now confined to the rear. She holds up the file, the face of the infamous deserter staring back at her. The name on the file sends a jolt of recognition through Li Wanwan. She asks if this mysterious soldier is also stationed here in the rear. A sudden, fierce determination flashes in her eyes. She remembers the man from the portal, the one who defied the commander. But Captain Lin Luo informs her that the man is nowhere to be found. Her hope fades as she tells her beast it's time for them to leave. The massive creature and its rider turn, a silent, imposing presence. They depart, leaving the captain alone in the quiet city square. The captain mutters about the deserter's influence, proving office gossip is a universal constant. Captain Lin Luo crumples the deserter's file in her hand. Her grip tightens, a clear sign of her rising frustration. She tosses the file aside, her decision apparently made, and grinds it under her heel for good measure. She declares that no matter his power, Shen Qingshun has disgraced the empire. And she vows that in the end, only one of them will be left standing. Elsewhere, Li Wanwan is jolted by a sudden chilling premonition. She sits within the protective embrace of her beast, lost in the darkness. A shadowy hand reaches for her, a memory of the voice from the void. But fear gives way to resolve, her eyes burning with a newfound purpose. Elsewhere, a group of women share a laugh, led by one with a particularly mischievous grin. But Li Wanwan's mind is lost in a memory, standing before a shadowy terror in the rain. She recalls a friend whose smile was, to put it mildly, an acquired taste, and a moment when she was forced to stand alone against an overwhelming darkness. Back in the training hall, the monstrous Commander Wu swings with devastating force. Shen Qingsun braces for the impact, his expression a mask of pure focus. The monster glances upward, sensing another attack descending from the shadows. Its eyes burn with primal fury, its rage now completely untethered. A massive glowing fist descends, an attack meant to shatter bone and will. But Shen Qingshun meets it with a smirk, finding the monster's speed utterly pathetic. He effortlessly sidesteps the attack, the monster's fist missing him completely. But Shen Qingshun has a surprise of his own, summoning a new power from the void. From the swirling energy, he materializes a massive dark blade. The monster can only stare as the deserter prepares to counterattack. Its eyes widen in a brief moment of pure, unadulterated panic. With a single, fluid motion, Shen Qingshun drives his blade through the beast's gut. His expression is cold, his judgment delivered without a hint of emotion. The monster stumbles back, its massive body torn apart by the single strike. Looks like someone's monstrous power-up didn't come with a warranty. Shen Qingshun watches on, his work not quite finished. The blade cuts deep, a brutal answer to the commander's monstrous rage. The hulking beast is sent flying, its power utterly meaningless against this new threat. The wound steams, a testament to the sheer power behind the single devastating strike. The monster can only stare in disbelief, unable to comprehend his own defeat. He screams in his mind, recalling the sacrifices he made for this power. He questions how all his conviction could fall to a mere deserter. He collapses to the ground, his monstrous form now a symbol of his failure. Shen Qingshun asks a simple question. Who exactly did he sacrifice it all to? The question sends the commander spiraling, his rage turning into a full-blown existential crisis. In his eyes, the reflection of his opponent marks the end of his reign. The monster claims he was chosen by an alien race, the first to awaken his true talent. He rants that he has their full support, while Shen Qingshun is nothing but abandoned trash. But Shen Qingshun sees through the bravado, questioning his desperate need for power. The commander argues that justice is just a tool for glory, prestige, and women. Shen Qingshun suggests the commander has lost his mind, a victim of his own delusion. The once proud leader is now a broken creature, kneeling at his opponent's feet. But with a final burst of rage, he smashes his fist into the shattered floor. He screams that killing Shen Qingshun will make him a national hero. Shen Qingshun can only sigh, his patience for this villain monologue completely gone. His armor flares to life, ready to deliver the final silent judgment. Shen Qingshun stands calmly, his power manifesting as a shadowy presence. He looks down, his dark energy swirling with immense controlled power. He admits he once thought Wu was a broken hero, driven mad by war. His fist clenches, his initial pity turning to cold, hard judgment. But now he sees the truth. He completely misjudged the commander's character. He declares that from head to toe, Wu is unworthy of being called human. The monster roars back, calling him a weakling hiding in the rear. Its fists ignite as it leaps into the air for a final, desperate attack. A flaming meteor of pure rage descends upon the lone deserter. But Shen Qingshun just watches it come, his expression utterly unimpressed. But Shen Qingshun raises a single hand, catching the fiery assault with ease. The commander's golden dragon shatters against an invisible wall of force. He effortlessly holds back the monster's full power, turning the attack back on him. The monster can only stare, wondering what kind of demonic power this truly is. Shen Qingshun retorts that Wu is the one who has truly lost his humanity. With a simple gesture, he begins to bend the very fabric of the fight. The commander's own flames now swirl around him, a prison of his own making. Shen Qingshun gives a name to the technique, a simple, brutal command to choke. A vortex of dark energy descends, crushing the monster under immense pressure. The once mighty commander is reduced to a screaming, broken mess. Looks like his power-up came with a no-refund policy. He tells the commander, good riddance, his patience officially gone. He advises the monster to think about its life choices in the next one. The monster's eyes are wide with shock, its borrowed power failing. It scoffs that expecting understanding from humans was always a mistake. But Shen Qingxun is done listening to the villain's final monologue. He unleashes a final, devastating arc of dark energy. He lets out a weary sigh, clearly bored with the whole ordeal. His hand glows, ready to end this farce once and for all. The monster can only watch in horror as its doom approaches. It lets out a final, silent scream as the attack consumes it. The monster's eyes flare, one blue, one green, as its mind begins to fracture. We're pulled into a memory. A 7-year-old Wu Qing kneeling in silent discipline. He stares at the ancestral tablets of his family, a legacy he was born to uphold. At 18, he's a soldier, fighting desperately against a monstrous foe. A voice offers him a deal: sacrifice his arm for ultimate power. Without hesitation, he severs his own limb to escape, a brutal first step on his dark path. At 27, he's a commander, but the voice reminds him who truly owns his success. He roars back, trying to banish the entity that has taken root in his soul. He vows to protect the truth of the war, even if it means branding others as invaders. But the entity just laughs, reminding him that he was never truly in control. The entity mocks him, revealing it has always controlled his fractured mind. His eyes reflect his broken soul. One human, one alien parasite. Shen Qingxun's blade tears through the monster, a final, brutal judgment. With his last breath, Commander Wu bids a final farewell to the world. Elsewhere, a young woman stares in disbelief at a completely different battle. In a high-tech training room, a fighter is blasted across the arena. A purple-haired observer notes that her speed has clearly improved. She lands squaring off against a massive, shadowy beast. The short-haired woman unleashes a powerful, light-infused punch, while another combatant answers with a fist of pure, dark energy. The two fists collide, a maelstrom of light and shadow. The shadowy beast's counterattack sends the woman flying. The purple-haired observer grits her teeth, admitting she's at her limit. Tears of frustration well in her eyes, a warrior's despair. Meanwhile, another fighter clashes with the woman in white. But the force of the impact shatters his armored arm. A system notification pops up, reporting damage to his god-killing gear. He can only stare as his high-tech equipment crumbles away. The woman in white watches, her own resolve hardening. Looks like his warranty just expired. The system offers a repair, reminding him that killing monsters pays the bills. The simulation confirms the challenge with a confident digital smirk. The white-suited fighter clashes with her opponent, fists meeting in a burst of energy. From the sidelines, her purple-haired comrade grits her teeth, watching the stalemate. But another figure emerges from the shadows, observing the battle with a calm demeanor. He calmly suggests that the fighter should simply turn back. She pushes herself from the cratered floor, refusing to yield. He advises her to return to her station, mentioning another who ignored his warning. The fighter stands ready, her body battered but her will completely unbroken. Her gaze is a mixture of fury and frustration, a warrior pushed to her absolute limit. He places a hand on her shoulder, noting how hard it must be for the proud to admit defeat. He tells her she has no choice but to accept her loss. She collapses to her knees, the weight of her failure crashing down on her. Her hand digs into the shattered floor, a picture of pure frustration. Through tears of anguish, she finally admits her defeat. She vows to return to her post, her spirit bruised but not broken, and she swears she won't face him again until she is truly his equal. Elsewhere, the city's sterile architecture stands in silent contrast to the drama. The purple-haired observer arrives at the women's dormitory, her mind clearly elsewhere. She wonders if he even remembers her, questioning her own place in this new world. But with his return, she finds a new purpose. Now it's her turn to protect him. Her eyes widen, lost in a memory of a much darker time, a memory of a ruined city, haunted by predators in the night sky. Monstrous alien birds, a powerful race that once ruled the darkness. And amidst the rubble, a small figure sought shelter from the chaos. A younger version of herself, alone and terrified in the ruins. She could only watch the sky, hoping to remain unseen. Her face is bruised, her voice a silent plea to the monsters above. But her hiding spot is not as safe as she had hoped. She prays for a miracle, for anyone to save her from the beast. Looks like divine intervention is her only customer support option. A sudden noise shatters the silence, her terror now absolute. Her eyes widen in pure terror as the sound grows closer. A monstrous bird descends from the sky, its red eyes fixed on its prey. She can only watch, a single tear tracing a path through the grime on her face. In that moment, all hope seems to drain from her world. The creature looms over her, its gaze promising a swift and brutal end. She lets out a desperate scream as the world explodes in light. But her small victory is short-lived as its comrades descend upon the scene. A new predator emerges, its masked face promising a far worse fate. Cornered and alone, she finds herself at the mercy of the beast. With no one left to save her, she closes her eyes and waits for the end. The memory continues, a sky filled with monstrous birds over a city in ruins. One of the creatures lets out a piercing shriek, its alien face a mask of hunger. It corners the young girl, her final moments seemingly at hand. But a sudden flash of light cuts through the darkness, a beacon of hope. A lone warrior lands amidst the chaos, a silent promise of salvation. His eyes burn with a fierce, protective light, ready to face the darkness. He leaps forward without hesitation, a blur of motion against the night sky. A single brilliant slash of energy cuts down the beast in an instant. She's splattered with the creature's remains, still bracing for an end that never came. She opens her eyes, shocked to find herself covered in goo instead of, well, dead. The severed head of the beast lands before her, a grotesque end to her terror. She stares in disbelief, the monster's final furious cry echoing in her mind. Her savior kicks the carcass aside without a second glance, his work not yet finished. It's a 30-year-old Shen Qingxun, a seasoned warrior from a different time. And the girl he just saved is a 12-year-old Li Wanwan, her life forever changed. He stands as a lone protector, the sky still swarming with winged predators. A blade of pure energy materializes in his hand, ready for the next wave. He unleashes a sweeping arc of light, a promise of swift judgment. The attack cuts through another beast, which apparently didn't get the memo. He looks back at the devastation, realizing they've wiped out the entire city. The young girl can only offer a quiet whimper, her world completely shattered. But the sky is still filled with the winged predators that destroyed her home. She watches her mysterious savior, a lone figure against the coming storm. He glances back at her, a silent promise to end this nightmare for good. His eyes burn with a cold fury, a warrior's grief for a fallen city. He roars, enraged that these creatures could wipe out an entire nation. With a burst of power, he launches himself into the sky to meet them. He vows to make the alien invaders pay for every life they've taken. His fist connects in a blinding explosion of righteous fury. Looks like their warranty just expired. He becomes a whirlwind of destruction, cutting through the flock one by one. The creatures cry out, unable to comprehend a power far beyond their own. He floats amidst the ruins, a single man against a swarm of winged predators. He curses their entire race, promising a swift and brutal end to them all. A storm of pure energy erupts around him, a maelstrom of righteous fury. The fiery vortex consumes the first of the beasts, turning it to ash. Another follows, its surprise turning to agony as the flames take hold. His attack becomes a rain of fire, a judgment delivered from above. The leader screams for a retreat, realizing they've picked a fight they can't win. The flock turns tail and flees, trying to escape through a hastily opened portal. A gateway of golden light opens, their only hope of escaping his wrath. But Shen Qingxun's rage is a fire that cannot be quenched. The invaders scramble for their escape route, a gateway to another world. He roars into the sky, refusing to let a single one of them escape. His fist clenches, gathering a storm of pure, unadulterated power. He becomes a comet of vengeance, streaking across the war-torn sky. He screams of the thousands of innocent lives they've stolen, the soldiers they've slain. His power erupts, a final, devastating answer to their cruelty. He flies directly into their escape route, because knocking is for chumps. From below, the young Li Wanwan can only watch in stunned silence. Her eyes reflect the fiery judgment of the man who just saved her world. She's covered in the remains of the beast, a grim baptism of green goo. He unleashes a final, devastating blast, a sun of pure golden energy. The portal erupts, a cataclysmic explosion that tears the sky apart. The last of the invaders are vaporized, their remains raining down from the heavens. She wonders if the beast that hurt her grandmother is finally gone. But there's no victory in his eyes, only the cold weight of his duty. He stands amidst the inferno, a lone figure against the dying light. He confirms his grim tally, not a single one of them escaped his wrath. The young girl crawls from the rubble, a survivor in a world of ruin. Her savior lands before her, his battle finally over. The young girl kneels amidst the rubble, her hands clasped in prayer. Tears of grief and terror stream down her dirt-streaked face. He tells her he'll end this war, giving her a chance to say her goodbyes. She can only look down, the weight of his words settling in. But a drop of the creature's blood trickles down her neck. It begins to seep into her skin, a silent, venomous corruption. The alien essence spreads through her veins, targeting her very heart. It travels through her body, a poison racing straight for her mind. Her eyes widen as a strange power surges through her, a dizzying shock. She collapses to the ground, her body overwhelmed by the sudden change. A voice echoes in her mind, telling the young girl to wake up. It tells her that in this world, she is the only living soul left. She sits up, surrounded by the ruins of the city she once called home. The voice explains that years ago, the monster's blood infected and changed her. A shadowy entity reveals that this blood awakened the gods within her. It says her peaceful nature kept them dormant, so they acted on their own to protect her. The entity reveals its true form, a serpentine dragon named Ju Long. It declares its power to her, claiming to be a master of time itself. Julong explains that it now controls her power, a small price for survival. But it could only distort time enough to save her, and her alone. The young Li Wanwan clutches a piece of red cloth, her face streaked with tears. Julong tells her she's the sole survivor of a world destroyed, and that she should be happy. But all she can think is that she'll never see her savior again. The massive, draconic hand of the entity reaches for her, but instead of a blow, it gently wipes away her tears. The entity realizes her sorrow isn't for her lost world, but for a lost person. Through her grief, a single desperate hope begins to form. She looks up, her voice trembling as she says she wants to see him. The entity's eyes narrow, considering her impossible request. It warns her that she only has a fraction of its power, and attempting to return could mean her end. She clenches her fists, her voice firm as she declares she is not afraid. The ancient entity seems pleased by her answer, a faint smile on its draconic face. And so, her journey begins, a leap of faith across the ruins of time. But the entity's next words send a jolt of shock through her. It explains the price. This trip will erase her from the timeline, a gamble that could take years to undo. It gives her one final command: if she finds him, she must never give up again. With tears in her eyes, she accepts the terms, vowing she will have no regrets. Julong nods, its work now done, setting her impossible journey into motion. And just like that, she finds herself looking upon a new world, a city of light and steel. The sight is overwhelming, a reality so different from the one she left behind. And somewhere in this bustling city, a familiar face moves through the crowd. But Li Wanwan is lost, a ghost from another time in a world she doesn't know. Clinging to a single desperate hope, she searches for her savior. Her eyes scan every face, overwhelmed by the sights and sounds of this new era. The world moves on around her, a river of strangers oblivious to her quest. But then, a familiar silhouette cuts through the blur of the crowd. Her face lights up with pure, unadulterated joy. She's found him. But the man who stands before her is not the warrior from her memories. A high-ranking general named Hua Yifeng asks if she's all right. Her hope shatters, the crushing weight of her journey crashing down once more. She closes her eyes, the bitter truth sinking in. This is not him. The general looks down at the broken girl, a strange sight in the city square. He offers a hand, recognizing a fellow warrior and promising his aid. But his words spark something in her, a flicker of a new plan. She looks up, her voice steady as she asks for his help finding someone. The general is taken aback by her sudden direct request. In return, she offers him a simple trade, her service in the war. He listens, intrigued by this strange girl's bold proposition. To prove her worth, she summons a dark, otherworldly power. A swirling vortex of energy appears, a gateway to forces unknown. The general can only stare, questioning if he's actually seeing a portal. Before him, Li Wanwan stands as a conduit to a realm of watching eyes. He recognizes it instantly, the legendary and terrifying gift of summoning. Elsewhere, a quiet conversation reveals another's long search for our hero. The purple-haired observer closes her eyes, her resolve hardening. She opens them again, a fire lit within her. She's found her purpose. Meanwhile, a different group of women share a laugh, their leader's smile holding a hint of malice. Back in the city square, Li Wanwan clenches her fist, her power surging. The dark portal behind her roils, responding to her silent command. The swirling vortex of energy grows, a testament to her immense, untamed power. Elsewhere, a group of women gossip about Shen Qingshun's sudden refusal to join the army. But one of them erupts in fury, claiming she knows the real story behind his desertion. Her friends can only stare in shock, completely caught off guard by her outburst. Another woman eagerly pulls out her phone, demanding to hear all the sordid details. They gather around to listen, their expressions already turning to disgust. On the phone's screen, the woman recounts a tearful, fabricated story of a past encounter. She claims his actions left him with a criminal record, making him ineligible for service. Her audience is completely captivated, their faces a mask of pure, unadulterated shock. She declares it's time to upload her story, so the whole world can know the truth. And just like that, the lie goes viral, a social media post designed to destroy a man's name. The woman's fabricated story ends with a torrent of tears, cursing Shen Qingxun's name. She rallies her friends, her personal drama now a public call to arms. Elsewhere, a pink-haired woman faces a shadowy figure, urging others to join her attack. Her eyes burn with conviction, her body surrounded by a powerful blue aura. But the figure's eyes glow red, disappointed in the nature of humanity. A sudden blast of light strikes the shadowy form. Back with the gossip circle, the woman urges her friends to spread the lie far and wide, but her phone suddenly emits a blinding beam of light, aimed directly at her. The force of the blast sends her flying across the room. She lands with a thud, only to find an alien sniper rat on her chest. Guess karma has a delivery service. Her friends can only watch in horror, their gossip session cut brutally short. The tiny creature lets out a furious roar, its eyes glowing with righteous fury. The woman lies motionless on the floor, her lies silenced by the tiny assassin. A final scream echoes through the night, a grim end to a malicious rumor. We return to Li Wanwan's memory as Zhu Long explains the cost of her journey. The entity gives her one final crucial command: never give up on him again. With tears in her eyes, she accepts the terms, vowing she will have no regrets. The ancient dragon seems pleased, setting her impossible journey into motion. And just like that, she finds herself looking upon a new world, a city of light and steel. The sight is overwhelming, a reality so different from the one she left behind. Amidst the endless stream of faces, she begins her impossible search.
She sits alone on the cold stone, a lost soul in a sea of strangers.
But her expression is not one of despair, but of unwavering determination. Her eyes, though weary, burn with the memory of the man she must find. She watches the crowd pass, waiting for a sign, a miracle. And then, through the blur, a silhouette of a man who looks just like him. Her face lights up with pure, unadulterated joy. The gamble paid off. But as he gets closer, she realizes something is wrong. This isn't him. A 4-star general named Hua Yifeng approaches, asking if she needs help. Her hope crumbles to dust, the bitter reality of her failure sinking in. She closes her eyes, the bitter truth sinking in. This is not him. The general looks down at the broken girl, a strange sight in the city square. He offers a hand, recognizing a fellow warrior and promising his aid. But his words spark something in her, a flicker of a new plan. She looks up, her voice steady as she asks for his help finding someone. The general is taken aback by her sudden direct request. In return, she offers him a simple trade, her service in the war. He listens, intrigued by this strange girl's bold proposition. To prove her worth, she summons a dark, otherworldly power. A swirling vortex of energy appears, a gateway to forces unknown. The general's eyes widen in disbelief, the word portal echoing in his mind. Li Wanwan stands as a conduit, opening a gateway to a realm of watching entities. He recognizes it instantly, the legendary and terrifying gift of summoning. Looks like her resume just got a serious upgrade. Elsewhere, the purple-haired observer reflects on her long search, finally having found him. She closes her eyes, steadying her resolve after hearing the insults directed at him. Her eyes snap open, a new fire burning within them. Her purpose is now crystal clear. Meanwhile, the gossip mongers from before share a malicious laugh, unaware of the forces at play. Back in the square, Li Wanwan clenches her fist, channeling her immense power. The portal behind her surges, its dark energy twisting and writhing at her command. The vortex expands, a raw display of power that leaves no doubt about her abilities. The gossip session descends into chaos as the women scatter in terror. They scream for everyone to run, but one pink-haired woman stands her ground. She watches the scene unfold, her expression calm and resolute. The tiny assassin continues its brutal work, silencing the source of the rumors. The pink-haired woman observes the karmic justice being delivered. But she decides the creature has made its point, reaching out to intervene. She effortlessly lifts the surprisingly plump rat into the air with an unseen force. Holding the now docile creature, she declares that enough is enough. The gossip monger can only writhe on the ground, her face a mask of agony. The pink-haired woman looks on, her judgment delivered with a cold, steady gaze. With the dark portal swirling behind her, the pink-haired woman calmly dismisses the fallen liar. But the gossip monger roars back, threatening her and invoking Shen Qingxun's name. She even claims to be his girlfriend, daring anyone to touch what's his. Guess delusion is her primary superpower. The pink-haired woman's expression darkens, her patience finally reaching its limit. She taps her foot, a silent final warning that goes completely unheeded. With a sigh, she turns her back, deciding this pathetic display isn't worth her time. She stands with an air of cold indifference, her judgment already passed. But an unseen force slams the gossip monger to the ground, forcing her to kneel. Her eyes fill with absolute terror as the reality of her mistake crashes down on her. The lies and bravado are gone, replaced by desperate, weeping pleas for mercy. The liar is reduced to a pathetic mess, begging for her life on the cold ground. The pink-haired woman gives her one final, chilling command: never speak his name again. Through a bruised and swollen face, the woman promises to obey. With her point made, the mysterious intervener turns and walks away. She disappears into the building, leaving the liar to contemplate her mistakes. But the gossip monger's terror quickly turns to simmering, vengeful rage. She pulls out a small device, a last resort for a cornered rat. Her finger hovers over an emergency button, ready to escalate the situation. She makes a frantic call to the General Bureau of Investigation, feigning distress. She reports Shen Qingshun, accusing him of treason and abuse of power. She spins a tale of being attacked by Shen Qingshun's supposed bodyguards. On the other end, an officer promises to file an official report on the matter, but her call is abruptly cut short as she's thrown to the ground once more. She screams into the phone, demanding medics and Shen Qingshun's immediate arrest. Suddenly, the phone is snatched from her hand mid-rant. She can only scream in frustration, wondering who dares to interrupt her now. A new figure arrives, silencing the liar with a well-placed heel. The newcomer calmly identifies herself as a captain, dismissing the call as a student prank. She hangs up the phone, her intervention swift and utterly decisive. The captain grits her teeth, annoyed that Shen Qingshun was almost framed by this pathetic gossip. With a surge of frustration, the captain crushes the liar's phone in her hand. She lets the shattered pieces fall to the ground, her patience completely gone. The woman continues her pathetic act, urging the captain to frame Shen Qingshun. But Captain Lin Luo is completely unmoved by the crocodile tears. Instead, she delivers her own brand of swift, decisive justice. A single kick silences the liar, a clear end to the conversation. Looks like customer support is closed. With the trash taken care of, she pulls out her own device to manage the fallout. She makes a call, ordering a cleanup of the situation at the women's dorm. Her orders are clear: erase every trace of this rumor and lock down all access to him. But the voice on the other end delivers bad news. The story has already gone viral. Captain Lin Luo's eyes widen in shock at the news from the other end. The voice on the line tells her she needs to see the damage for herself. She quickly pulls up the social media feed, her fingers scrolling frantically. And there it is, a viral post exposing the truth behind his desertion. The post features the tear-streaked face of the very liar she just dealt with. She reads the fabricated story, a disgusting tale of assault and betrayal. Her shock quickly hardens into a cold, murderous rage. In her mind, she sees the liar's pathetic form lying broken on the ground, a vision of pure, unadulterated fury, delivering the justice she deserves. A single brutal kick to send the lie and the liar flying into oblivion. Her rage is cut short by a sudden, urgent notification. Elsewhere, another woman with short hair scrolls through her phone, her expression grim. Her eyes widen as she takes in the full scope of the escalating situation. She reads an official military dispatch. A 4-star general is being sent to deal with Shen Qingshun. She realizes the stakes. If a general loses publicly, military morale will shatter. Just then, an urgent call comes through, asking if she's seen the latest news. She admits she hasn't finished reading, her back turned to the city lights. But the voice on the other end tells her it's gotten worse. A public petition is forming. The goal is to have Shen Qingshun expelled, and she holds a golden card in her hand. The card glows with an immense power, a tool for a crisis spiraling out of control. Captain Lin Luo stands ready, her call cutting through the tension of the night. Her shadow falls across a massive digital screen as she sets her plan in motion. She decides it's time to cash in a favor, using her family's name to get help. She orders a quiet evacuation, preparing for the storm that's about to break. The voice on the line confirms her fears. Their own people wanted Shen Qingshun gone. She glances back at the silenced liar, a grim reminder of the stakes. Her orders are cold and simple: dispose of the body and erase the problem. With her command given, she steps through a swirling portal without hesitation. Elsewhere, a lone figure in a trench coat walks through the quiet city streets. He stops to look up at a futuristic tower, his purpose still a mystery. Shen Qingshun watches her, his expression unreadable. The defeated warrior calls out his name, her voice heavy with loss. Later, his quiet walk is interrupted by an object tossed his way. He catches it with ease, revealing a small, unassuming card. The white-suited fighter offers him her ID, a place to stay for the night. She promises not to return until she can finally face him as an equal. He accepts her offer with a simple, quiet word of thanks. which leads him to the front door of the women's dormitory. Well, that's one way to get a room. He uses her keycard, gaining access to the building without hesitation. He steps into the elevator, his destination still a mystery. Finally alone, he finds a moment of peace in the quiet elevator. He takes the opportunity to run a quick system diagnostic. The system reports his divine 100 kills has leveled up, unlocking a new talent. He notes his progress is faster than expected, confident he'll soon regain his peak power. He's presented with 3 choices for his new talent, each more world-breaking than the last. As the elevator continues its ascent, he presses the button for the 33rd floor. With a confident smirk, he makes his choice, the third most powerful option. The button for the 33rd floor lights up, sealing his decision. The elevator shoots upwards, a silent vessel carrying him to his destination. He's ready to test out his new ability, uttering a single, powerful command. A vortex of blue energy swirls around Shen Qingshun as he tests his new talent. He peers into a strange, ethereal dimension filled with countless points of light. Reaching out, he selects one of the glowing orbs, a single choice among many. The orb flares to life, a miniature sun of pure, concentrated power. From the light, a massive spectral warrior materializes before him. The elevator doors slide open, his private summoning session now complete. He steps into a luxurious penthouse suite overlooking the entire city. He realizes this isn't just a room, but the entire floor. Apparently, his new roommate is loaded. Behind him, the shadow of his newly summoned guardian falls across the doorway. The spectral warrior leaps into the air, awaiting its master's first command. The spectral warrior stands reflected in the glass, a ghost from another era. Shen Qingshun looks out over the city, a world his guardian no longer recognizes. The ancient warrior asks if this strange new place is truly their world. The two figures stand in silence, a master and his servant from a forgotten time. Shen Qingshun explains that their time has passed, and this world is for a new generation. The guardian listens, processing the weight of his master's words. He then shows Shen Qingshun visions of the world as it once was. A vision of a bustling modern city, a testament to human progress. A vision of serene, snow-capped mountains, untouched by time, and a vision of a winding river, a land of peace and prosperity. Looks like his new summon doubles as a travel brochure. The ancient warrior is stunned, unable to comprehend such a prosperous world. He stands before his new master, a ghost of the past brought into the future. This is the legendary warlord Ran Min, a hero who fell fighting invaders 2 millennia ago. In a vision of the past, he charges across a burning battlefield, a one-man army. Shen Qingshun recounts the legend, a story of a warrior whose name echoed for generations. But the warlord dismisses the formality, offering his strength to the one who summoned him. He explores the modern suite, a world of strange angles and unfamiliar objects. His attention is drawn to a photograph, a piece of impossible magic from his perspective. He marvels at the lifelike portrait, a testament to how much time has passed. He asks if anyone still remembers him, only for Shen Qingshun to deliver a single, crushing word. No. Shen Qingshun explains that in the endless river of time, even heroes are forgotten. But the warlord still holds out hope, asking if anyone in this new world remembers his name. Shen Qingshun delivers the grim truth. History remembers him not as a hero, but as a tyrant. The ancient warrior's world shatters, his legacy twisted into something monstrous. Our boy explains that now, his name is only ever met with curses. The legendary hero can only stare, the weight of 2,000 years of lies crashing down. He questions his sacrifice, wondering if he fought and died for nothing. But as he pours a drink, Shen Qingshun offers a single ray of hope. He declares that he remembers the truth of that ancient pivotal battle. The warlord turns, a flicker of hope in his eyes, realizing his master knows all. The warlord's voice is filled with disbelief and a desperate, flickering hope. His spectral form is a ghost against the glass, a warrior utterly lost in time. He decides he needs a drink, a small comfort for a man who no longer exists. The two stand together, a master and his servant overlooking a world they must protect. But Shen Qingshun cuts him off, stating they share a path, but he needs no comfort. He adds that first, the legendary hero is due for a bit of a scolding. The ancient warrior takes a sip, a taste of a world 2,000 years beyond his own. He laughs, lamenting that as a spirit he can't truly get drunk with his new master. Shen Qingshun looks on with respect, then begins to pour out the drink. He offers it to the ground, a tribute to the hero whose true story was lost to time. The warlord speaks of invaders dancing on the bones of his nation, vowing to kill them all. He roars that there will always be kings willing to die for their people. Elsewhere, a futuristic tower stands as a beacon against the night sky. The two warriors sit in silence, a quiet conversation between two different eras. In another room, a pink-haired woman is visited by a familiar draconic entity. It's Zhulong, who notes that the flow of time has become dangerously unstable. The woman looks up concerned, asking what this means for her. He explains that while he can't send her back, this chaos is an opportunity for restless spirits. Zhulong tells her to rest easy, adding that he's never actually seen her sleep. She looks down with a quiet apology, which the ancient dragon gently dismisses. Zhulong reminds her that his most difficult task was always protecting her younger, fragile self. The draconic entity explains that the flow of time has been irrevocably altered. He demonstrates by opening a swirling portal right in her room. Talk about a dramatic entrance. He reveals that because of this temporal shift, Shen Qingxun never joined the army. Their fated reunion was meant to be a year from now, but our boy chose a different path. The ancient dragon's hand glows with a strange, otherworldly energy. He offers her a glowing orb, a choice that could reshape her future. He recalls her past devotion, traveling 1,000 miles just for a brief moment with him. She lowers her head, the memory of her unacknowledged sacrifice still fresh, and she admits that even though he didn't know who she was, she could never blame him. She admits she never wanted to ask anything more of him. She knows he's already doing everything in his power to change things. Zhulong listens, a rare moment of surprise on his ancient face. He asks if she's ever considered that she might fail this time. The question hangs in the air between the girl and the god. He shows her a vision of the past, a quiet moment under a shared umbrella. A memory of a younger Shen Qingxun, his eyes holding a deep sadness. Zhulong explains that back then, it was as if he had no heart left. Looks like emo phases are timeless. But Li Wanwan's expression hardens, her determination unshaken. She turns away, her decision seemingly made, ready for whatever comes next. Li Wanwan lies awake in bed, her mind still racing with the possibilities. Zhulong appears in his more humanoid form, a god of time with a promise to keep. He gently tucks her into bed, an ancient being acting as a concerned guardian. Her eyes are filled with a quiet sadness, the weight of her long journey still heavy. He apologizes for his eagerness, promising to take her to Shen Qingxun the next day. With his promise made, the ancient entity begins to depart through his portal. The gateway swirls shut, leaving her alone in the quiet of the night. But as he leaves, a strange dark tendril lingers in the air. A single crimson eye opens within the shadow, watching her intently. Guess he's got a built-in security camera. Li Wanwan finally rests, unaware of the silent guardian watching over her. She tells herself it's okay that he won't remember her from their past, because she's more than willing to get to know him all over again. With that happy thought, she finally drifts off to sleep, a smile on her face. But Zhulong's eye remains, noting she's no longer the helpless child from the ruins. The entity is certain that this time, Shen Qingxun will want to know her too. He wonders what great deed Shen Qingxun did in a past life to deserve such a treasure. The next morning, the sun rises over the majestic Great Wall of China, an ancient monument standing as a testament to a long and storied history. A group of students from the Imperial University walks along its ancient stones. Looks like a field trip. They marvel at the breathtaking view, eager to capture the moment. But one student is clearly not enjoying the view, his face a mask of irritation. He finally snaps, roaring at his classmates to stop their cheerful shouting. He launches into a speech, reminding them that the future of their world rests on their shoulders. His words hit home, and the students soberly reflect on the coming war. His speech works, and the group erupts with a renewed sense of duty. But in the back, another student scoffs, dismissing the speaker as an upstart. He steps forward, intent on putting the motivational speaker in his place. A smug, condescending sneer spreads across his face. He taunts the speaker, asking if he really dares to run his mouth so freely. The speaker is stunned, realizing his private grumbling was somehow overheard. The challenger moves with impossible speed, a blur of motion closing the distance. He taunts the speaker, saying that his dog-like hearing is no match for what's coming. The speaker, Li Niu, is stunned as a powerful aura erupts from his opponent. He can't believe it. This guy, Wan Wei, was just a petty thug with no power to speak of. Wan Wei smirks, revealing that his own special abilities awakened on the journey here. The other students can only gasp in shock at the sudden revelation. He boasts that he gained the powers of a bat. With hearing so acute, he's one of a kind. Guess his ego awakened too. With a shadowy leap, he easily knocks Li Niu to the ground. He gloats that he doesn't need psychic powers when he can hear a whisper from a mile away. And to prove his point, he unleashes a blast of energy that slams into Li Niu's chest. Wan Wei's power sends another student flying back with brutal force. The boy crashes against the Great Wall, the ancient stone cracking under the impact. He's thrown over the side, plummeting towards the ground far below. His classmates can only watch in horror, believing they just witnessed a murder. The falling student screams a final curse, his voice filled with defiance. But in a desperate lunge, he manages to catch the edge of the wall. His hand grips the stone, blood marking his struggle to survive. His fingers slip, his strength failing against the inevitable pull of gravity. He loses his grip entirely, his body disappearing over the side. Guess this field trip is officially a failure. His backpack tumbles into the void, the only thing left of the fallen student. But instead of a body, his backpack hits the ground with a strange flash of light. Wanwei cups his ear, listening for a sound that never comes. He shushes the crowd, basking in the silence of his supposed victory. He then spins a tale, claiming Li Niu was a coward just like Shen Qingxun. The other students, terrified, can only agree with the bully's twisted logic. Wanwei then declares them both secret agents, a lie to cover his own crime.